Autumn day, I saw her first. I knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November, we tripped lightly along the ledge of a deep ravine where can be seen the true worth of passion's pledge. The Queen of Hearts still baking tarts, and I now making hay. For I love too much, and as such is true happiness thrown away. Well, I gave her gifts of the mind, I gave her the secret sign that's known to artists who have known the true gods of sound and stone, and words and tint are without stint. Well, I gave her poems to say, with her own name there, and her own dark hair, like clouds over fields of May. I see her walking now, away from me most hurriedly. My reason must allow that I have loved not as I should, a creature made of clay. When the angel would, the clay he autumn day I saw her first, and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger and I walked along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. Thanks so much for coming out. Arlene, thank you so much for having us here. This is a beautiful setting. It's like by the lake. You've got a fence to keep the alligators out. I feel very, very assured. My name is John Byrne. This is Andy Keenan playing guitar with me tonight. And so we're going to do some Irish stuff and some original stuff and some other random things. This next song is a song from our original album. It's when I came to America really because I was in love with American folk music. It wasn't until I came here that and was writing that I sort of realized what a big influence Irish folk music was also in my writing. But this song is from our After the Wake album. It certainly has more of an American influence than an Irish influence. It's probably ripped off Neil Young a little bit on this one. It's called In Your Saviour's Place. Did he promise you the sun? Tell you that you were the one? And every Wednesday night come up with a new excuse to slip away, be with you for an hour or two, and all the things I think and say don't mean nothing to you. The stories you believe, who'd have believed you'd believe, and the reason to stay, there's no reason in at all. Who's gonna help you save your face? Who's gonna be your saving grace in your Savior's place? Your Savior's place, in your Savior's place. Savior's place. And all the things I think and say don't mean nothing to you. You won't hear of a bad word. Say he loves me, not you. The stories you believe, who'd have believed you'd believe, and the reason to stay, there's no reason in at all. Thank you very much. We have also a CD of, it's mostly Irish folk tunes, but a couple of American folk tunes thrown in there. And this next song is kind of an American folk song that's sort of been adopted by the Irish, or stolen, or whatever way we'd like to. It's kind of nice. Nice we stole something. But the song apparently goes all the way back to the American Civil War and is about, they think it was written about a man who was found himself on the run after the Civil War. Probably a soldier for the Southern Army, the Confederate Army, and finds himself down in Louisiana and meets and falls in love with a girl by the lakes of Pontchartrain, or by Lake Pontchartrain. Somebody last night pointed out to me, like, there is no lakes of Pontchartrain. There's only Lake Pontchartrain. So I made him leave. It's anarchy. It's anarchy was breaking out. This song's called "The Lakes of Pontchartrain." 'Twas on a bright March morning when I bid New Orleans adieu, and I took the road to Jackson Town, my fortune to renew. I cursed all foreign money, no credit could I gain, which filled my heart with longing for the lakes of Pontchartrain. I stepped on board a railroad car down in the morning sun, and I rode the rails till evening and lay me down again. All strangers here, no friend to find, till the dark-haired girl towards me came, and I fell in love with a Creole girl from the lakes of Pontchartrain. I said, me pretty Creole girl, my money here's no good, and if it weren't for the alligators, I'd sleep out in the woods. Are you welcome here, kind stranger, though our house is very plain, but we never turn a stranger out by the lakes of Pontchartrain. She took me to her mommy's house, and she treated me quite well. Of the hair upon her shoulders in jet black ringlets fell. To try and paint her beauty, I'm sure it would be in vain. So hands I have to do this song for Walt, Boston Walt. He showed up at a bar on today. I gave him a quick 5-minute lesson. We'll do this song. This is another song that we recorded. And again, if you normally see our band, or if you look on the website, you'll normally see that we generally our acoustic shows are a 4-piece with a girl who plays fiddle and cello, and another guy, Rob, who plays banjo and guitar. So we're gonna do some sort of stripped down versions of these songs. But, this song is a song. It's a very old Irish song, and it sort of deals somewhat with the story of when Jesus met Mary Magdalene at the well, but it completely resets the story somewhere else. So it's a very foreboding song that deals with some pretty heavy issues, and for that reason, it was a song that disappeared from the Irish canon of folk music for a long time. And then Christy Moore sort of discovered the song being sung down the country in Ireland in the 1960s, and recorded it and sort of brought the song back to life. And ever since, there's been a few recordings of it made by bands like Planxty and Christy Moore himself. And it deals with subjects such as like incest and some really taboo subjects in a very holy Catholic country. So so hopefully we're not going to offend anybody by playing The Well Below the Valley-O. If a gentleman came passing by, would you fill him a drink if he was dry at the well below the valley-o? Green grow the lily-o, right among the bushes, oh. Me cup is full up to the brim, and if I were to stoop I might fall in at the well below the valley-o. Green grow the lily-o, right among the bushes, oh. And if your true love was passing by, would you fill him a drink if he was dry at the well below the valley-o? Green grow the lily-o, right among the bushes, oh. She swore big cross, she swore big horn, her true love had never been born at the well below the valley-o. Green grow the lily-o, right among the bushes, oh. And he said, young maid, just wedding wrong, 6 fine children you had born at the well below the valley-o. Green grow the lily-o, right among the bushes, oh. Hey. while at the well below the valley, oh, green roll the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. Among the bushes, oh. So, thank you. Thank you. Well, we'll sort of lighten it up, apparently, a little bit now. This is a song that I wrote. Do you know that time in your life where when you're just sort of going through a tough time and sort of trouble after trouble seems to pile on top of you, and you get to a point where you either have to laugh or cry? This song is kind of about that moment. This song was one of those songs off our After the Wake album that got picked up for, you know, we've had a few things appear in movies and TV things, and this one was kind of a funny one because it's been in a couple of really cool documentaries, like a hiking documentary and all the other cool things, but it's also in this British TV reality show. And we were actually touring through Iowa a couple of years ago when the guy called me. He was a guy from England, and he called me up and he says, he was explaining how they're going to use the song. It was called a secret interview, and it was these two chefs. There's these two chefs that were competing for a job at a Michelin star restaurant. And he's on the phone. He's going, right, John. Here's how it goes, mate. He says, right, because you know the English, they talk funny, they do. Not like what we do. But, yeah. He says, you know, like they're sautéing things. There's flames. There's heat. They're chopping things. They're getting really angry. They hate each other. And like, you know, and right when they're about to kill each other, your song comes on, mate. It's like, so I'm like, yeah, sounds brilliant. So yeah, those $4 checks from the BBC come in really handy almost every month. So if you need a visual to go along with the song, you can picture some angry, sweaty English chefs. The song is called "It's a Gas That Makes You Laugh Before It Kills You." Star on the cigar, the schedule to keep, and the map from Ballymena. If the car don't start, then you know that we leave. It's a gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. Now all night with his suicidal wife, burning all his laces and hiding all the knives. And the thing he does is for somebody who ain't nice. It's a gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. It's a gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. Here we go. Someday comes it'll leave just as easy, and someday, bloody somedays at the heart of all the dream. You can't find the rocks for the sand that's in between. It's the gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. So pour another order and for over 20 pages. Throw out your clocks and calendars, think I'm off the stage. The star outside with its hurricanes that rages. It's the gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. It's the gas that makes you laugh before it kills you. He said, I'm giving up this the time when it gets cold. The excuses that I use are getting old, and I never felt so far away from home. While the sun was barely breathing, kissed his wife goodbye, she hardly knew that he was leaving. Carried no expression, no one knew what he was feeling. It's a guys that makes you laugh before it killed you. It's a guys that makes you laugh before it killed you. It's a guys that makes you laugh before it kills you. It's a guys that makes you laugh. I love playing house concerts. Thanks so much for coming out. It's great to just play. Thank you for supporting touring musicians. No, really, thank you. It really. I don't know. You know, I think I'm sure every musician who comes here says they just are so much indebted to people who run the shows, like Arlene and Rob for opening their home to musicians and trusting that we won't leave with their valuables. It's amazing. I won't even lend a musician a pick. I tell people back home about house concerts and they can't believe it. And they just go, "You mean like a party?" And I go, "No, not really. Yeah, like a party." You know, I said, "No, you get up and you sing a few songs." "You mean like at a party?" Like, because back home, I don't know that people would gather to just sit in front of like one, you know, player and focus on them for 2 45-minute sets or however long we keep you. Because most Irish people believe, quite correctly, that they're far better than the person on stage. So the way the night would go would be, it would be assumed that if I started singing a song, that the person to my right would be next. And if any of you have been to Ireland, that's kind of the way like a session happens. People are usually hanging, I mean this happened in our house, I don't know, more times than I could care to count. You know, everyone would be hanging out and at some point some cans of Guinness and some bottles of fine Irish whiskey would be taken out and somebody would sing a song and then it would be on, you know, it would go around the room and everybody had their song. And that's the amazing thing, that's the beautiful thing, is that it's not even a question. If I'm singing a song, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to get to sing my song next." And it wasn't just Irish songs. I mean, obviously, Irish songs were aplenty, you know, in these sort of sessions. But like my grandfather used to recite the Cremation of Sam McGee. That was his party piece, and he did it beautifully. I mean, to this day, I have a recording of Johnny Cash doing it, which is amazing, but it doesn't even come close to my grandfather. He used to sit by the fire, smoking his pipe, and it was perfect. And my dad would sing, you know, Irish songs, and he'd also sing the Everly Brothers, you know, and stuff like that. And my grandmother would sing Crazy by Patsy Cline. Oh, yes. As my dad would say, in a key that she invented herself. It didn't matter. But it was but they were amazing nights, and even when you were a kid, you had to sing as well. I used to sing. For some reason, my mom taught me all the words to Glenn Campbell's Rhinestone Cowboy, and that was the song that when it came to my turn, I sang Rhinestone Cowboy to top my lungs. And apparently I used to sing it randomly. I used to sing it in school all the time. I don't remember this necessarily, but my mom said, yeah, she went to like, you know, my first grade like parent-teacher meeting, and she said, "Oh yeah, Johnny's grand, no problem at all." But every now and again he just, you know, walks to the front of the class and he sings Rhinestone Cowboy. So I'm not going to sing it tonight, no. But it was that is, yeah. But and I can imagine like the logic of like 6-year-old me kind of going, "Oh, it's 11 o'clock. Things are a little quiet. It's time for some Rhinestone Cowboy." But so I wrote this song, various verses about those people, because the great thing about when they would sing these songs, they would add their own bits and pieces. They would add a verse or take it away or just add their own inflections, and they really made this song their own. And whenever they gathered, like, this was the song that they sang, you know, and it was so cool. And it just, you know, the reason I started singing songs at all ever was just to be as cool as the people who hung out in our living room and sang songs, you know. And sometimes there wouldn't even be a guitar or a banjo in sight; it would just be song, you know. And it was a wonderful thing. So this song is sort of a tribute to all the people who came to my house and sang songs, and it's called Various Verses. Songs have come and gone, but you shine through with more poetry, verse, and soul than anyone I knew. Gianna Dreams holds a special place for me to be, when we'd meet up in the back rooms and beg each other to breathe. Verses, make them our own, make them our own. And end up in different time, call it our own, call it our own. And roads and railroad times rode on too long. I need someone to love me and tell me I'm playing it wrong. The festival ended, the festival ending was rough, and the first drink is tough, and the 100th is never enough. We'd had various verses, make them our own, make them our own. And end up in different time, call it our own, call it our own. In my dreams, I find myself walking around this town, up to no good, sleeping rough with a rough sort of crowd. At times in my dreams, I find myself covered and spoiled by this soil, and the locals are shattered and restless. The singer is royal. We'd add various verses, make them our own, make them our own. And end up in different time, call it our own, call it our own. Verses, make them our own, make them our own. there's a song on our Celtic folk album. So we have two albums with us tonight. We have After the Wake, which is all the original stuff, and Celtic Folk, which is the folk album, Irish, mostly Irish folk tunes. There was a song that I thought long and hard about putting on there. It's a song I've known forever, but I'd never really sung it in America, and because there's a couple of lines in there that could definitely be construed as being anti-American. And so I was a little bit worried about it, as well I might be. And the reason is, well, basically the context of the song is it was written from the point of view of an Irishman who came over to America during the American Civil War. And like a lot of Irishmen and a lot of other immigrants, was immediately forced into Lincoln's army. And so the song was basically taken from a letter that he wrote home to his brothers, warning them not to come to America, because if they did, they'd get caught up in this civil war. So it has a line in the last verse where he says, "To the devil I will say, God curse America." And so I'd be often afraid that I'd be in a bar or somewhere singing that song. So like, what did he just say? And then they'd want to fight me or beat me up. Sure, I spent a fortune on this face. The only time I ever got asked to sing the song, I was actually with myself and Andy. We were in Nashville. This was about 5 years ago, and before we ever recorded the song. But this guy came up during the break and he said, "Do you know this song? It's called Paddy's Lament." He goes, "Do you know Paddy's Lament?" And I said, "I do, yes. I don't sing it in America. It's just I just don't want to offend anybody, And he just said, "Don't worry, son. That song's about them Yankees. You're down south now." So I sang it that night, and it got me thinking about the song then afterwards. So we'll do it for you. I'll do the song for you. Let's see how the noise carries. Well, it's far in a hush, me boys, and ask to mind your noise, and listen to poor Paddy's sad narration. Well, I was by hunger stressed, and in poverty distressed, so I took a thought I'd leave the Irish nation. Well, I sold me horse and plough, my little pig and sow, my father's plot of land I then departed, and me sweetheart bid me gie, I'm afraid I'll never see, for I left her there that morning, broken hearted. So hear me, boys, and now take my advice. On America I'll have you not be coming. There is nothing here but war, where the murdering cannons roar. And I wish I was back home in dear old Dublin. Well, myself and 100 more to America sailed. Our fortunes to be making, we were thinking. But when we got to Yankee land, they put guns into our hands, saying, "Paddy, you must go and fight for Lincoln." Well, General Marr to us, he said, "If you get shot or lose your head, every mother's son of you will get a pension." Well, in the war I lost me leg, and all I know's I wouldn't pay. By my soul it is the truth, to you I mention. So hear me, boys, and now take my advice. On America I'll have you not be coming. There is nothing here but war, where the murdering cannons roar. And I wish I was back home in dear old Dublin. Well, I think myself in luck if I get fed on Injun buck. And old Ireland is a country I delight in. To the devil I will say, God curse America, for in truth I've had enough of their hard chiding. So hear me, boys, now take my advice on America. I'll have you not becoming. There is nothing here but war, where the murdering cannons roar. And I wish I was back home in dear old Dublin. We'll do a couple more songs and then take a quick break and do another set for you. Is that the way it's normally done here?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I was just thinking that halfway through our set, going like, I never asked. Some places they just want you to keep playing. Do this song. This song is about that moment in your life when you realize that you've turned into your father. Or your mother, or your mad auntie, or whoever it is that you now most closely resemble. So we'll do this song. I was thinking, so Mark is at the back of the room, he's videotaping this tonight. And the last thing he said to me was, yeah, we'll videotape it and we'll stick it up on YouTube. And the first person to see these videos when they go up on YouTube will be my father. Because he's currently addicted to YouTube. He's fighting a heavy YouTube addiction. He discovered it about 5 years ago, and he told me about it, like he was the man who discovered it. I came home for a visit and I had my bag, and he opened the door and he was like, come on in, lad. When you have a minute, come upstairs, I have to show you something. And I was like, okay. And that, growing up in the house, that usually was a bad thing. It usually meant he found something illicit that I had hidden inside a he found a bottle of whiskey once that I'd hidden inside a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Why? Obviously snooping, He didn't just decide to do a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. But so I go upstairs and he says, he goes, have you heard of this thing on the interweb by the name of YouTube? And I says, yeah. He goes, Jesus, it's brilliant. He goes, I went on the YouTube and I was looking for Joan Baez videos, and there's about 40,000 Joan Baez videos on the YouTube. And then I looked for Bob Dylan videos, and there's about 1 million Bob Dylan videos on the YouTube. I tell you, the YouTube is brilliant. You should write it down, it's going to be huge. So I says, Dad, I'm on YouTube. And he gives me that look. He goes, you're not. Why would the YouTube fellas come out and video you anyway? I'll let that one sit for a minute.
YouTube fellas.
And anyway, we went and looked at a whole bunch of videos, and it was great. And he's been using it as well to he started learning the banjo, and from videos he found on YouTube. It's great. He loves it. But rest assured that if there are any videos put up, if you're taking video tonight or if you take some video in the second half of the show and you put it up on YouTube, my dad will be the first one to tell me that it's up there. He'll give me a call or Skype me and he'll go, yeah, he goes, you're on the YouTube again. You're all sweaty, where were you? Anyway, sorry about the long story. This song, I always dedicate this song to my father. It's called Old Man's Disguise. I remember you walking me home. I remember you closing my door. I remember the way that the wind blew your hair and the way it would stand upon it. I remember the sound of your car, unmistakable as it was. I remember the race to the front door on Fridays to see what it was that you bought. Ooh, I feel like I'm wearing an old man's disguise. In front of my eyes, way before my time. By the time that my traveling was done, it seems I was still underage. The older I get, looks like we see more right away. Someday soon I might stand, feel more pride than I do. Someday soon I may stop brooding and smile at reflections of you. So we'll do one more song for you. We have, as Arlene mentioned, and I guess as my duty as a traveling musician in this day and age, we of course have CDs and T-shirts available over there. We also have information. Some people were asking. We have information about our Ireland tour. We run an Ireland tour where we ride a bus around Ireland and we play in some very cool places. Some bars and some little corner places, and also some other stranger places like a cave and the crypt in Christchurch Cathedral and stuff like that. It's going to be really fun. And we have a mailing list, of course. So if you're enjoying the show, you can sign the mailing list and know when we're coming back to Florida. And if you don't like the show at all, you should also sign the mailing list, and you can avoid us with startling accuracy in the future. When I first came to America, I worked in a quaint little seaside village in New Jersey by the name of Wildwood. Anyone from up that area knows that Wildwood is not quaint at all, but it's so much fun, especially when you're like a young Irish lad who just turned 19. I had such a great time there, and it was. I didn't even know the drinking age was 21. I remember that. I arrived, I went into a bar, and I got carded, and showed him my fresh Irish passport, and he says, "You got to be 21 to drink here, son." And I said to him, "Here or here?" He said, "Here." So I said, "Where can I get a fake ID?" And he told me where to get one. And my name was Juan Bravo. Because they let me pick my name. And I decided to reinvent myself. But I had a great time, and American women seemed to like me way more than Irish women did. They liked my accent more than Irish women did. So, but I had a great time. And I went back, I traveled around America, and I ended up back in settling in Philadelphia, because I grew up in Dublin, and I grew up in a city, so I'm a city person. And then I went and visited Wildwood in the middle of winter, and it was so quiet and so beautiful. And I remember that they had turned off all the traffic lights. It was like everything was just turned off. And I went into this bar, and I actually saw a guy who used to work on the pier, and he was there with his girlfriend. He didn't remember me. I just sort of observed people who were just surviving through the winter, and then in the summertime would work, every hour God sent. So I went back to the room that I was staying in with my dog, and I started writing this song. It took me many years to come back to the song and try and finish it, but it's a song called Already Gone. This seaside town is trying not to freeze, but its electricity's gone. This seaside clown and his snow-washed queen my best friend, but she's in love. What's one more drink when you're already gone? Your logic escapes me, it insults me. Wish I had never learned to read. Comes way up behind and gets buried inside, and brings out the butcher in me. And now I'm breaking home to show how much I've grown. Wish I could talk to your best friend, but he's in love. What's one more drink when you're already gone? Well, I sit here explaining the water of life and all that my language shares. I become the man who wished us good luck, warned about the money and tea. And he was 61 that night. Well, I wonder, is he alive at 75? Wish I could talk to my mother, but she's in love. What's one more drink when you're already gone? Let a breeze come over me, I'll come home, hoping it's you that I see. Wish I could talk to you, but you're in love. What's one more drink when you're already gone? When I look into your eyes and see you as my life, I remember how you shook. And this world would be a great place if it wasn't for life. Well, I think on all it took. But my world can't exist without her rainy days. Wish I could talk at all, but all is love. What's one more drink when you're already gone? This city street is trying not to freeze, trying to blow the wind away. I could pack my bags, but how just that, then I fail. Well, I'm done talking. This has been too much. What's one more drink when you're already gone? What's one more drink when you're already gone? Thank you very much. That's all I can do. Thanks for sticking around. And those of you who picked up some merch, thank you so much. I mean, apart from like, you just what a joy it is to come and play these kinds of shows. It's so satisfying to leave a place, especially a place you've never been before, and know that you left some music behind, and it's just a fantastic feeling. We're going to play a couple of tunes now for you. These songs are from an album that we're going to start making on Tuesday. These songs have been sort of in pre-production for a while. We've been arranging them, getting all the parts down with the whole band, and so we'll do a couple of them for you. And the first one is a song. It's essentially, I wish I had a better way to introduce it, but it's essentially about my mother-in-law.
Song? Tribute?
And it is, and this seems like a perfect setting for the song. But it's basically the song. My wife's mother passed away when she was very young, so she was only like 7 years old when her mom passed away. And the song came about from a conversation that I was having with her about how sometimes it's hard to remember people. Like the longer it's been since they've been gone, and that you're sort of left, the memories you have, your brain sort of tricks you, and you're left with photographs that you have of them, and that's what you see in your head. You see these photographs that already exist, but that sometimes you'll be, I'm just picturing this setting with the crickets and everything in the background. But sometimes you'll be somewhere, and the wind will blow through the trees a certain way, and all of a sudden that person is so clear in your head that it's incredible. It's like they just stepped out of nature, like into your world just for a split second. And I just thought it was an amazing way of describing how you remember people, because even when the face starts to fade, like it's like you feel a presence, in a certain situation, and it's completely random. And so I sort of went away and I started writing this song, and I was actually played some music before with her brother, and we finished it together. And so yeah, so this is a new song. Her mom's name was Patsy Maher, and good Irish American girl, and the song is called To Patsy. Tonight the forest is gently laughing in a long gone summer breeze. A familiar soul again is passing, of the woman whose heart outgrew these trees. Does anyone else here remember Patsy? Does anyone remember her but me? 'Cause tonight I'm gonna close these doors and play guitar till early morn and sing to Patsy. Mother said, be careful what you're wishing. Mother said, no man is what he thinks. Mother said, never marry an electrician, especially if he drinks. Does anyone else here remember Patsy? Does anyone remember her but me? 'Cause tonight I'm gonna close these doors and play guitar till early morn and sing to Patsy. Again you've broken water. Sister says, aren't 4 children enough? Every day I have to see you in your daughter. expect it to be this tough. Does anyone else here remember Patsy? Does anyone remember her but me? 'Cause tonight I'm gonna close these doors and play guitar till early morn and sing to Patsy. The forest is gently laughing in a long gone summer breeze. A familiar soul again is passing, a woman whose heart outgrew these trees. Does anyone else here remember Patsy? Does anyone remember her but me? Does anyone else here remember Patsy? Won't you all raise a glass with me? 'Cause tonight I'm gonna close these doors and play guitar till early morn and sing to Patsy. We'll do one more original song here and then slap into some happy Irish stuff. This song is I played it last night. It's a song that was sort of written late into the writing process for the new album, and it was a song that came kind of quickly, and some songs do and some songs don't. But my dad is going through some health issues, and they're fairly serious, and we were just chatting. My new friend from Spain, about how difficult, being away from home, and it's just a scary thing, and I've been trying to get home as much as possible, and there was one night I couldn't sleep. I was sort of laying awake worrying about him, and for some reason the Dylan Thomas poem, "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Dark Night," popped into my head, and I'm sure you're familiar with the poem, where he basically beseeches his father to sort of fight for every last breath, and I kind of started to think, like, how would I put that same thought to my dad, in a sort of a way that he would, appreciate, and my dad loves to sing, like I was mentioning earlier. He loves to sing all the time, and so and he's probably best known even back home, like in the pub. It'll be late past closing time, and someone will go, "Johnny," his name's John as well, and they go, "Johnny, give us a song," and knowing that once they got him singing, the barman would probably go, "Oh, feck, we may as well stay over for another half an hour." So Byrne is singing, and so the phrase "sing on, Johnny" popped into my head, and I went back to my house and was out walking my dog when that sort of popped into my head, and then I went back and wrote this song. So this is another one from my dad. Sing on, Johnny, don't lose a thing. Sing on, Johnny, don't lose a thing. 'Cause heaven ain't ready to see you swing. And sing on, Johnny, don't lose a thing. Sing on, Johnny, there's a war ahead. Sing on, Johnny, there's a battle ahead. When the wind blows, you'll just take a deep breath and sing on, Johnny, there's a war ahead. Sing on, Johnny, in the salty wind. Sing on, Johnny, in the salty wind. 'Cause you can't get to heaven on a sinking ship. And sing on, Johnny, in the salty wind. And over time you lose them all. The morning dew, the ragged ball. And from the corner I'll hear someone call. Just play a song for us all. Sing on, Johnny, make time stand still. Sing on, Johnny, make the night stand still. The women are busy and the kitchen is filled. Oh, sing on, Johnny, bring everyone in. Sing on, Johnny, make it loud and fierce. Sing on, Johnny, make it loud and fierce. A battle cry ringing deep in my ears. Oh, sing on, Johnny, make it loud and fierce. And over time you lose them all. The morning dew, the ragged ball. And from the corner I'll hear someone call. Just play a song for us all. Johnny for the wise man's word. Sing on, Johnny, for the wild man's gun. Sing on, Johnny, for the good man's son. Oh, sing on, Dad, till the work is done. And over time you lose them all. The morning dew, the ragged ball. And from the corner I'll hear someone call. Just play a song for us all. Over time you lose them all. The morning dew, the ragged ball. And from the corner I'll hear someone call. Just play a song for us all. Play a song. Thank you very much. This song was written by a man named Dominic Bean, who's probably better known as Brendan Bean's brother. Brendan Bean was a famous Irish writer and a notorious Irish drinker.
No.
Now, if you want to become a notorious Irish drinker, you really have to put the work in, because the bar has been set relatively high. Anyway, my favourite Brendan Bean story, my dad told me this story. So Brendan Bean wrote a book in the 1950s called Borstal Boy, which is very well received. And he won a bunch of awards, and he was brought over to America to speak at some universities and be on a couple of TV shows and radio shows and the like. And you know. But apparently what happened was that the plane landed and Brendan went missing. And they landed in Toronto. Brendan promptly went missing. He missed all his TV stuff, all these interviews he was supposed to do. All, you know. So anyway, his manager eventually found him a couple of weeks later in a bar just outside of Toronto. And he said, "Brendan," he said, "where were you?" And Brendan Bean said, "The plane landed in Toronto, and I saw a sign that said, 'Drink Canada Dry.'" So I did. Anyway, Dominic Bean wrote this song about the Irishmen who went to work in England during World War II. We were neutral, but you know, England was being heavily bombed, and most of the able-bodied English men were off fighting the good fight, and so a lot of Irishmen went over there and they worked for some particularly unscrupulous contractors, and most of them were also Irish. One of them was a Scottishman by the name of Robert McAlpine, later to become Sir Robert McAlpine, for all his work in killing Irishmen. He was apparently a particularly tough man to work for. And so Dominic Bean wrote this song about the Irishmen who went over to work on the building sites in England during World War II. And it's called McAlpine's Fusiliers, and it begins with a little poem that I like to recite for you. It was in the year of '39 and the sky was full of lead, and Hitler was heading for Poland and Paddy for Holyhead. So come all you pincher laddies and you long distance men, don't you ever work for McAlpine, for Wimpy or John Glenn. For you'll stand behind the mixer until your skin was turned to tan, and they'll say good on you Paddy with your boat fare in your hand. Crack was good and Crinklewood, and they wouldn't leave the crown, with glasses flying and biddies crying, cause Paddy was going to town. Oh mother dear, I'm over here and I'm never going back. What keeps me here is the rake of beer, the ladies and the crack. I come from the County Kerry, the land of eggs and bacon. I think I'll eat your fish and chips. Jesus, you're mistaken. As down the glen came the cowpines, with their shovels long behind them. 'Twas in the pub, well they drank their sub, or under in the spike, you will find them. We sweated blood, and we washed down mud, with pints and quarts of beer.
you.
I always introduce this song as a very unusual song in Irish music because it's about a battle that we won. And A, we didn't win too many. And B, when we did win, we didn't know what to write about. Usually the rule of thumb was that the bigger the massacre, the better the songs. But this one goes back, the tune of this song goes all the way back to the 1500s, and it's apparently the tune that a man named Fiach McHugh O'Byrne, who I like to think it might be a distant relative, marched into battle against I know I've met a new English friend, and she's sitting right in front of me, but they were fighting the English, you know, but it's all forgotten now. We're all friends. Exactly. I met Ruth from London sitting in the front seat here. So he went into battle, and the words, so this was in the 1500s, the words were apparently written in the 1700s. You weren't? And the words then were written in the 1700s, and it's a fascinating tune that sort of we decided to record on the Celtic Folk album. So I'll play that one for you. It's called "Follow Me Up to Carlow." There flows a stream of Saxon gore. How great is Rory Ogilmore? Send the looms to Hardy, and why the sick will his fled. Now for Black Fitzwilliam's head, we'll send it over different red. To quick eyes after ladies, curse and swear the Lord Kildare. Big will do what big will dare. Now Fitzwilliam, have a care, for it is your sorrow. Up with halberd, out with sword, on we go for by the Lord. Big McHugh Thank you very much. So, I don't often write breakup songs because nobody's ever broken up with me. They would actually have to date me first, so, so that's the stumbling block there. This song is it's a breakup song, but it's written sort of from the point of view of the friend. So you're the friend it's your friend who's going through the breakup. So you're giving them the talk. It's going to be all right and hang in there and never liked her anyway. Are the kids still around? I can't say anything bad. Oh God. She smelled of broccoli.
Hopefully not Steve.
George Bush.
So yeah, so this song is sort of the guy is just sort of saying, you know, look, just get over it, man. And after you get over it, then we can be friends again. But until then, you're just a pain in my arse. So, that's the title of the song. No, the song is called See You Then. Hair all tossed up, expression is blank. The car rumbles on with around half a tank. The radio plays the top 20 show, but it's over, oh, didn't you know? The motel reads AC and cable TV. The 6 stories tall and the breakfast is free. There's a room with a view of the highway below, but it's over, oh, didn't you know? Hey boy, it's over, oh, didn't you know? So let it run by, let her out in life. Live for another long Saturday night. Let her run by, let her out in life. See you then. We've done this before, disappeared without trace. We played by the rules, but you can't lose her face. You can't be bothered being bothered at home, but it's over, oh, didn't you know? A picture of us at the Capitol Grill, a black and white picture that's black and white still. You carry it everywhere, there's something to throw, but it's over, oh, didn't you know? Hey boy, it's over, oh, didn't you know? So let her run by, let her out in life. Live for another long Saturday night. Let her run by, let her out in life. See you then. Let her run by, let her out in take it so hard, though it's been past a year. And if business is business, then you've no business here. Up in the morning, find places to roam, but it's over all, didn't you know? Me boy, it's over all, didn't you know? So let her run by, let her out of your life. Live for another long Saturday night. Let her run by, let her out of your life. See you then. Let her run by, let her out of your life. Live for another long Saturday night. Let her run by, let her out of your life. See you then. See you then. See you. Let her run by, let her out of your life. Live for another long Saturday night. Let her run by, let her out of your life. See you then. See you then. Oh, thank you so much. If it's okay, we're going to do a couple more songs for you. The baron's getting, that's another, the baron's getting soft. Humidity is kicking in. This is built for an Irish climate. So I tuned it before we got here, but I think just in the time it's been sitting here. Anyway, we won't let it ruin our fun. I wrote this song about, my uncle works for an organisation in Northern Ireland. He actually used to work for them, now he volunteers. And what they do is they work to bring the communities together, and he does amazing work. What he does is he brings like these hardcore Protestant paramilitary guys like down to Dublin, and he shows them around, and he sort of, these are guys who would never dream of setting foot in the Republic of Ireland, and he brings them down by the truckload and brings them around Ireland, and he shows them all, and he just, basically the whole thing that he tries to do is show the amount of commonalities we have, because really the difference between the sides in Ireland is so minute, and it's crazy that it's just, there's been so much, you know, trouble and suspicion for so long. So he uses the story of a man called Martin Doyle when he does these presentations. And Martin Doyle was an Irishman who fought in the British Army in World War I. And a lot of Irishmen fought in the British Army during World War I. And Britain heavily recruited in Ireland, even though there wasn't, essentially there wasn't a draft in Ireland, but they recruited heavily. And there was also like promises made, as there often is, of like that Ireland would have home rule if its men went and fought in Europe. What happened was that during World War I, we had our own rebellion, which was another spectacular failure, and but great songs came out of it. You know, those of you paying attention. And then after World War I, of course, the last thing Britain was going to do, because we had this rebellion, the last thing they were going to do was give us any kind of, you know, concessions. So, but Martin Doyle anyway fought. So the men then, the British also made a mistake of executing all the leaders of this rebellion in 1916. And it was a huge mistake because it created a whole new wave of nationalist, you know, Republican sentiment in Ireland, which didn't exist before this rebellion. I mean, people talked to me about, like, you know, the recent independence vote in Scotland, and they couldn't believe that Scotland didn't vote for independence. And I said, people are first of all, people are scared, you know, of change. And I said, if Ireland had had the same vote in 1916 before the rebellion, we would also have stayed with the empire, no doubt in my mind. So Martin Doyle came back to Ireland during this period when there was this huge nationalist sentiment. And a lot of the guys who fought in World War I, which was, you know, just one of the worst wars you can imagine, received a very cold reception when they came back to Ireland. They were told they should have been here. They should have been here fighting England, not over in Europe fighting for them. So Martin Doyle came back to Ireland, and he'd won. He'd been given a Victoria Cross for bravery. He was an extremely brave man. But when he came back, he came back in this atmosphere, and then he actually joined the Republicans. He joined the Irish Republic, the IRA, as it was at the time, and in the War of Independence against Britain. So this is a highly decorated British soldier who turned around and started fighting against the British Army for Ireland. And then after the War of Independence, he became a spy in Ireland, or in England for the Irish, and then settled into a job in the civil service. But then when he died, he requested to be buried as a British soldier in the British Army plot. It's a beautiful, just beautifully manicured plot in Dublin, in Glasnevin, if you ever get a chance to go there. And my uncle uses the story of Martin Doyle for both sides, and he gives talks to the Republican side and to the Unionist sides up in Northern Ireland. And he leaves them with the question, like, why do you think he wanted to be buried as a British soldier? What do you make of this? And the Unionists consider him somewhat of a hero, and the Republicans consider him somewhat of a hero. And so he's a great man to use, you know, as a tool to bring communities together. So my uncle gave me this story, and at the end of the story he said, what do you think? And my theory was that even though he fought against the British after he came back from World War I, he never forgot how his comrades were treated when he came home from this, you know, terrible war. And that by being buried as a British soldier, he was honouring their memory. And my uncle said, that's you know, one way of looking at it is, again, it's a theory. So I wrote a song sort of about it, and I don't often sit down to write a song specifically about something. The writing process is kind of a strange thing. You usually sit down and you just start writing and things begin to emerge and grow. This one I sat down to write specifically about Martin Doyle, because he's just an extraordinary character. And so I call the song simply The Ballad of Martin Doyle. I'll take them to my grave, he said. I'll take them to my grave. We walked side by side on another tide, and left this world betrayed. And we'll set sail just one more time, and fear no flying lead. In the uniform of another war that treated us like men. I'll take them to my grave, he said. I'll take them to my grave, and I'll leave them singing Save the King and save us all as well. And I'll think of them as I'm sleeping there, and they cover me in clay. And I'll think of the mud that blinded us, what we wish we couldn't say. Stroll across the field and take away fantastic evening and just a great trip through Florida. We were here about a year and a half ago, and it was not. It was a tough trip. It was like just tough places, and this has just been magical. And you know, thank you so much, Arlene. Thank you so much for having us and opening your home. And for doing this for 10 years. This is our 10th anniversary show. Not advertised as such, but we're honoured to be here. And thank you thank you for supporting this and just, you know, again, making it possible for musicians traveling around to find an audience, and that's what we are all trying to find, you know. So again, and I also want to just give kudos to my man Andy Keenan here on guitar. Andy is brilliant. Andy's been playing with me for so long, and just we just sort of struck up a friendship over music and over just feeling the same way about how songs should be presented, and so I'm delighted to have him with you, or delighted to have him with me tonight. Speaking of Andy, I think we're going to have Andy sing a song. He also has a beautiful, beautiful singing voice.
Earmuffs now.
So I'll let Andy introduce this one.
So this is a song that we put on the Celtic folk record. This is a song that I discovered while I was in Block Island, Rhode Island. It's a little island off the coast of Rhode Island. It's a bunch of these sailor guys playing maritime music that they had. It was like a reunion they were having in this little bar right on the harbor. The ceiling was about this high, and it was just such a cool experience. So I picked up their little homemade CD, and I, you know, kind of fell in love with it. And when we were recording this record, we had to get in touch with Jim and asked him if it was okay if we recorded his song. So anyway, this song is it's about a boat that they were sailing on, and things were getting a little bit tense. So he wrote the song to kind of poke fun at everybody on the ship and lighten up the mood a little bit. It's called The Old Black Pearl. Ready? On the Old Black Pearl we're bound for Kiel to see how the German girls look and feel. Salty crew, and we're hungry too. And when we land, well, any girl will do. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Across the Western Ocean on the Old Black Pearl, I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and hair cold black. I'm gonna love her to death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Well, our first mate, he's a mean young man, and he learned his fighting in Vietnam. He chews up glass, spits it out like mush, and then he brushes his teeth with an old wire brush. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Across the Western Ocean on the Old Black Pearl, I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. I'm gonna love her to death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Well, Mr. Famine is the name of our cook, and he learned his cooking between the covers of a book. He comes from down in Charleston town, and a loaf of his bread weighs 16 pounds. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Across the Western Ocean on the Old Black Pearl, I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. To death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Well, the captain's dog, Willie's his name, and I'm damned if I know why the hell he came. He won't eat his food from out from the can, but if you give him a chance, he'll eat your hand. Hi-ho on the Old Black Pearl. Across the Western Ocean on the Old Black Pearl, I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. black pearl. Well, our captain comes from Philadelphia. He's mean as hell, so stay out of his way. He has his martinis at 3:45. And then he pulls his put behind the cabin door. Hi-ho on the old black pearl. Across the western ocean on the old black pearl. I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. I'm gonna love her to death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the old black pearl. Well, 1,500 miles or more before we reach the English shore. And when we land on the Isle of Wight, we're gonna drink dark ale, make love all night. Hi-ho on the old black pearl. Across the western ocean on the old black pearl. I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. I'm gonna love her to death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the old black pearl. Across the western ocean on the old black pearl. I still miss my Newport girl. Skin snow white and her hair cold black. I'm gonna love her to death if I ever get back. Hi-ho on the old black pearl.
Guys, thank you so much for coming out. We're going to leave you with this one. This is a song that goes back to a tradition in Ireland called the American Wake. And it's true, this is all true. Back in, when Irish people were coming over here in their droves in the 1800s and, the famine times and all, they would have a get-together for them the night before they left. There's chances were they were never going to come back. So they would have what was called an American Wake. And it was, similar. Of course, you know the tradition of the Irish Wake. Well, this is, again, similar, one less body, at least at the beginning of the night anyway. But, the person, they hadn't died, they hadn't passed on, but they were passing across the Atlantic, and probably never to be seen again. So it's a song that's often sung at the end of a night of music back home. It's a song that's often sung in memoriam of people, no matter what happened to them or where they've gone. It's a way of acknowledging their life and acknowledging your love for them. And, so Mark, who's doing the camera tonight, was telling me about a young lad, Nolan Birch, who passed away tragically there this weekend. So it's it's for all those reasons that we sing this song, and it's the Irish have always looked upon death as just another step, a celebration of life, and so we're going to leave you with this song and celebrate this night with you, and thank you so much for coming and for just being a fantastic audience. This has been really just a great night of music, and so we'll leave you with this one. It's called The Parking Glass. And of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, 'twas done to none but me. can't recall. So filled to me that parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. And if I had money enough to spend, and leisure time to see the world, there is a fair maid in this town who surely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own she has my heart enthralled. So filled to me that parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. And of all the comrades that e'er I've had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I've had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise, softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. I was a little worried that we were running along.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you so much. Let's do a... Yeah. I saw some people dancing in the back, or it could have been...
We're not actually people. We're just stick figures.
We're your groupies.
Music farmers.
Well, we'll do a little, we played last night, not too far from here, and friends of the hosts had a boat and brought us out around the bay. It was really fun. I felt like a very wealthy man. On this kid. I know, he was saying the same thing. He said, "You are wealthy." And I said, "Yes, I'm wealthy. I have music and I have love in my life and friends. I'm a very wealthy man. I am. I'm a very lucky man. I'm broke as shit." Very, very wealthy man. I can buy a Mercedes. So, yes, we had a little adventure on a boat today, and while we were out, we did for a little part of the tour. We sort of stayed in the canals, you know, and very calm and nice. And for a little bit, then he went out into the ocean, and it was like a whole different story. I was like, "This is great," and I just wanted to sing like some sailing songs while we were out there. It was like one of the parts, and this is the one that popped into my head. So this is why we're going to do it. It's called Greenland Whale Fisheries.